Gentlemen, if I can have your attention, please, it's now 3 o'clock. I'm gonna call this, meeting of the Wilson County Board of Education, special call meeting, we'll call it to order at this time. Our purpose of being here today is to, get a report from the AdvancEd team that was here, doing an evaluation of our school system. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming in and doing this for us, and we look forward to hearing what your report says, and hope it's good. At this time, I'd like to ask that we adopt the agenda. Motion, Mr. Robinson. Second by Mr. Withers. Kelly, got that down? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, let's show to pass unanimously. Recommendations from the director, Dr. Wright. I'd like to remind everybody we are being live streamed, so we are on TV, and so just be on your best behavior. Don't say anything ugly, so we come back to office. All right, thank you very much.
I think
Dr.
that was,
Wright?
thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that was more of a reminder for the chair, but thank you. Well, and before we get started in introducing the team, I just want to say just a few words, particularly about what this means. And district accreditation is an important milestone for any district. It's more than just about system improvements, but most importantly, it's about providing the best educational experience for all of our students. The value that an advanced ed team brings is that they are able to holistically look at a district and determine the challenges, the strengths, opportunities. And as an outside neutral entity, they can provide recommendations to a district that might otherwise go unaddressed. We shared with the team the Board of Education's vision and charge for the district to reach a top 5% ranking in the state within 5 years. This evaluation provides valuable insights and direction in helping us reach our goals. The feedback we will receive today will help us maintain momentum, focus, as we continue to improve and grow. I see this as a validation of our belief in learning communities, in developing viable and healthy cultures where we continually analyze and reflect on practices and results, engage in professional learning and dialogue, take meaningful action on what we determine is in the best interest of all of our boys and girls, and most importantly, that we are never satisfied and will continue to work at providing the best education possible for all of our students. What we know is that high-performing districts are predicated on sound practice of enhancing the capacity of staff through continued professional learning that is aligned with district practice, identified goals, and the resources to sustain such effort. The recommendations provided by our visiting team will assist us in better defining our culture of learning, collaboration, and high expectations for staff and students as we continue to grow as a system. I want to thank this team particularly for the time and effort they've given this district over the past 3 days. We certainly hope to learn and improve based on their guidance. And with that, I'd like to introduce David Stipes, our team leader for this process, and that he also introduce the rest of the team. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Director, members of the Board of Education. First of all, we want to say how great we have had in terms of accommodations, cooperation throughout the visit. When you try to interview every single staff member at central office in one day, you know that's a challenge. And that was done as a result primarily of Angela Rowan and her staff putting it together. Not a single candidate for interview was late, not even the Board of Education chair. So we are very happy to have been here and to hopefully provide you with the kind of insight that you want. I apologize to having to turn my back on you. This is supposed to be a report to the board, so I'm going to have to speak to the board. I will turn every once in a while and make some extra comments, and I'll try not to be out of line. Let me first of all introduce the team. My associate lead evaluator is Ronnie Parks, retired educator. Dr. Larissa Henderson, Support Services Director from Oak Ridge County. Dr. Fran Owen, Supervising Instructor, Fairville, and Sean Carter, Director of Curriculum and Instruction. We're supposed to be a 6-man team, 3 from in-state and 3 from out-of-state. That's the design for this type of a review. you. AdvancEd has been having difficulty finding team members to fill some of these. So as a result, instead of having 3 in-state and 3 out-of-state, we've got 4 in-state and me. And I'm from North Carolina. I'm Dave Stipe, and I'm a retired educator from the North Carolina school districts and have served in many, many capacities. But I've been doing this now since 2005. And so you are approximately, and I'm going to hedge on this a little bit, but my 56th district that I have led. So thank you for allowing me to be here, and look forward to presenting this information to you. Combining the knowledge and expertise of a research institute, the skills of a management consulting firm, and the passion of a grassroots movement for educational change. And by the way, this entire team is voluntary. They don't get paid a penny except their gas mileage. Now you, on the other hand, have to pay the bill for our lodgings. We serve as a trusted partner to 32,000 schools and school systems, employing more than 4 million educators and enrolling more than 20 million students across the United States and 70 other nations. AdvancEd has created, through 2006 merger of the pre-K divisions of the North Central Association, the Southern Association, and schools through in 2011, the acquisition of the Northwest Accreditation Commission. Next. Oh, maybe if I did it would help too. No, we're fine. Accreditation is the largest community of education professionals in the world. We are a non-profit, nonpartisan organization that conducts rigorous on-site reviews of pre-K to 12 schools and school systems to ensure that all learners realize their full potential. While our expertise is grounded in more than 100 years of work in school accreditation, AdvancEd is far from a typical accrediting agency. Our goal isn't to certify that schools are good enough. Rather, we have a commitment is to help schools improve. The external review is a professional diagnostic to stimulate and guide continuous improvement with a focus on 3 domains. 1, the impact of teaching and learning. 2, the capacity of leadership. And 3, the use of resources. Professional judgment by the external review team results in powerful practices, opportunities for improvement, improvement priorities, an index of education quality, which I'll go into in some detail in just a few minutes, and an accreditation recommendation. We visited 58 classrooms yesterday, minimum of 20 minutes in each. Most of us spent 30 minutes or so in all of them. We were in 8 schools. Our interviews, we interviewed all 5 board members. Mr. McNeese was kind enough to interview us by phone from wherever he was. Dr. Walters was interviewed. 46 administrators, 68 instructional staff, parents and community members were 13. Support staff, both here and at schools, 23. 18 students. We don't get to interview as many students anymore when we're so tied up in classroom observations, but we got to see a lot of students. Okay. The teaching and learning impact. The external review team examined student performance results, instructional quality, learner and family engagement, support services for student learning, and curriculum quality and efficacy, college and career readiness data. The teaching and learning domain is comprised of all of the indicators in Standard 3, Teaching and Assessing for Learning, and Standard 5, Continuous Improvement, and the 4 evaluative criteria for student performance data. We came up with a powerful practice in this domain. We are very happy to state to you something you're already very proud of, that you have such an exemplary graduation rate of 96.3. You're to be congratulated for that. Not just as a system, but every school is well above the state average, and that's a phenomenal accomplishment. Congratulations. We know that a lot of that came from some of the initiatives that you have put in place. I know that your graduation coaches have done an outstanding job of helping to prepare seniors for graduation, and they're to be commended for the work that they've done. We also identify some improvement priorities. The first one is, and it deals with the goal that you folks have on your strategic plan. We're asking you to identify the root causes behind the system's achievement gaps and ensure all classroom instruction focuses on effective instructional practices proven to be successful. You're doing a lot of work with data and analysis of data and disaggregation and use of data. But we're here to say to you that you can work the data from now until the cows come home, and it won't make a bit of difference. Unless you know what the root causes are and deal with those, the achievement gap is going to continue. We have a number of suggestions that will be in our report to you, which you will receive later. Next. We're asking you to develop and implement a system-wide communication plan identifying the processes, principles, and guidelines for the dissemination of appropriate information to all stakeholders. Now with the advent of an information officer, the need to keep a growing community by leaps and bounds informed about what's going on, having a communication plan that deals with all aspects of communication to and from stakeholders, the use of social media, and many, many other areas. We encourage this to be one of your priorities. Next. We found that there is not a common grading, universal grading practice. You have a grading policy, no question about it. An A is an A is an A is an A. How that A comes about is not common. And what else is not common in your grading practices is all the things that are left up to the schools individually and the teachers. Can a child come from school A and go to school B and know that his work is going to be judged in the same way as it was in the previous school? Does he know that homework counts or doesn't count? Does he know that he can get a 0 or not get a 0 depending on what he's done? Common grading practices are really a mandate of a school system that is under direct district accreditation. That design for that grading policy practice needs to come from the Board of Education. Next. As I mentioned, we visited 58 schools, or 58 classrooms in 8 schools. We used, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with Elliott. Anybody out here familiar with it? 7 environments. We used that instrument in each of the classrooms. The AEN, the last column on the right, is the average for the AdvancEd network for all of the thousands of schools that were evaluated last year. Those numbers are going to change at the end of this year, and your numbers will be factored into it. Looking at each of them, and I'm not going to go into all of them, but I do make a couple of comments. The equitable learning environment is lower than the average in the network. Not appreciably, but it's lower. And that's an area that I think you are concerned about, as making sure that every student has the same access to and understands what's expected of them in each learning environment. You have, one of the indicators in that environment is having to, or knowing and appreciating the culture of others. And that was scored very low by our entire team. And while you're not a diverse school system in general, you have a large population of educationally disadvantaged students. And a lot of the students who are not in that category don't understand what they're like, don't understand who they are, where they come from, why they act like they do. And that is an area that we would encourage your students, your schools to take a special note of and work toward helping your students understand where everybody is and where they're coming from. The lowest area was digital and learning environment. That is specifically about student use of computers with computers as learning tools. A little bit about the teacher, but mostly it's student use, and we saw very little of that. Some of which was because there weren't any computers available, but some had to do with how it was, what we did see was being used in the classroom. Next. Leadership capacity domain is the external review teams. We examined the institutional purpose and direction, governance and leadership effectiveness, stakeholder engagement, and improvement capacity and results. This domain includes all of the indicators in Standard 2, governance and leadership, and in Standard 1, purpose and direction, and the evaluative criteria for stakeholder feedback diagnostic, which has to do a lot with the surveys that you did. Leadership capacity. Our powerful practice that we're identifying here came out shining. The governing body has established a culture of mutual trust and respect among themselves, the county commission, and the system and school leadership. And you're to be applauded for the work that you've done in that regard. Thank you very much. Your schools and their leaders, I'm sure, will thank you as well. A lot of detail about all of these will be in the written report that you'll receive in about 30 days. And you'll see all of these fleshed out and discussed in great detail. Resource utilization, the allocation and use of resources, equity of resource utilization, distribution to need, level and sustainability of those resources, and long-range capital and resource planning effectiveness. And this domain contains all 8 of the Standard 4 indicators resources and support systems. Here's where the understanding gets a little bit fuzzy, and I'll apologize for that up front, but we're going to try to get through this so that you'll have at least a cursory understanding, but again, this will be in much greater detail. But the balanced accreditation process is reported as an index of education quality, IEQ. This slide illustrates the institution's progress in each of the 3 categories and as an overall index of education quality. The evaluative criteria is divided into 3 domains. We just talked about them: the teaching and learning impact, the leadership capacity, and the resource utilization. The index and its 3 categories provide the institution with a clear picture of their current reality and a roadmap toward excellence. There are 39 total criteria included in the IEQ, 21 of which are related to teaching and learning impact. That should not surprise anybody. That's what we're all about. 11 are related to leadership capacity, and 8 related to resource utilization. Pardon my clumsiness with this thing. Our hope is that you will drill down into the individual indicators behind each of these scores to help you identify strengths you want to maintain and to help you identify the areas of improvement. The IEQ results, and again they are compared to the AdvancEd network average. This network average includes not just all the schools in the United States, but also in the 74 countries that we serve and for accreditation. The score, the overall score was 271.71. Teaching and learning impact, 268.57. Leadership capacity, 291.67. And resource utilization, 250. For too many years, institutions have been judged based upon the disparate and unrelated summative data points that fail to paint an accurate, holistic picture of the quality of an institution. The scores have been used to target schools for punitive interventions as opposed to providing a formative assessment that guides sustainable progress and improvement. In 2013, AdvancEd introduced an innovative and state-of-the-art framework to measure the institutional performance and offers a deeper understanding of the organizational effectiveness. The Index of Education Quality, the IEQ, provides a holistic measure of an institution's overall performance. That offers a deeper understanding of the organizational effectiveness. The index provides a measure of institutional overall, performance based on a comprehensive set of indicators and evaluative criteria. As a formative tool for improvement, it pinpoints areas of strength as well as those that are in need of support or focus. The IEQ results indicate that the school system is performing within acceptable ranges as compared to expected criteria, as well as other institutions in the AdvancEd network. Therefore, it is a recommendation of the external review team that Wilson County School System earn the distinction of accreditation by AdvancEd. Let's hear it. Improvement priorities must be addressed within 2 years. It's the beginning of a journey of improvement. And of course, it's always a journey. It'll never be a place that you stop. You'll continue to work toward improvement always. Deliberate and strategic actions to ensure that every child, every day, is being prepared and achieving success for their future. The external review team, first of all, appreciates your hospitality, support, and professionalism, and I especially want to single out Angela Rowan and her sidekick, Dina Garris. Where is she? There she is. I know how many weeks and months that they have been working on this. They get tomorrow off with pay, right? Our review team respects and acknowledges the efforts to improve the quality of your institution, and you're doing a super job. We are very pleased with what we have seen. Keep up the good work. Congratulations. We congratulate your system and the community on completing the requirements for school system accreditation. And folks, that's it.
Thank you, and again, most appreciated. And you know, for many of you that are listening to this, you might not even understand the magnitude of what's been presented, because you're talking about a 3-day whirlwind holistic approach as far as looking at not only what our actual practice, but also when you have to glean through all that evidence. And you remember, I mean, we we've been working on this for months. And so that's a lot of sifting, a lot of going through, and I was sort of watching everyone as he was going through the scores, and, you know, we're a competitive group, I mean, I'm just gonna tell you, it's like, okay, how's this gonna fall out? But I'm telling you, this is a good report. This is a good report. This is something I commend all of you for not only the work that you're doing in your schools, but what you're doing for our boys and girls. But let me tell you what it really does. It validates that we're on the right track and what we are really aggressively working toward for the boys and girls. You know, looking at the root causes, I like that word, that terminology. I don't know that that's something I would have used, but again, you think about when we focus on this every month. Okay, what's the number one we focus on? I'm seeing the nods and the grins because we drill this. As far as closing that gap, and we know specifically the group of students that we need to address and work on. But root causes, sometimes it's not a data point. And I think that was something that Mr. Stites brought out. So that gives us more emphasis as far as what we need to address and work on. The comprehensive communication plan. I wrote that down too. We've been working on it, absolutely. I see Amelia standing out there like she's hiding. But that's been so important as far as making sure that not only that we craft our message, but people have no mistake trying to determine what we do, and that we are a school district about boys and girls. And so that's been something, again, that becomes very critical as we look at this, that, again, we're trying to expand that communication. And it's something we can certainly perfect and we need to work on. And then when he got to the common grading practices, you know, we think that, you know, and I like the way that Mr. Stice said, an A's, an A's, an A. Of course. But I'm looking at many of you that have been school teachers. And again, it's not so much the lack of consistency, it's a lack of understanding maybe as far as what compiles the grades. And that maybe that we get into, we've had debates about homework. Is it purposeful? Does it have meaning? And then the big thing, does it count? And so that's something that will direct some conversations, because that, again, that's also a communication piece as well, that maybe that's something we've not articulated in such a way that there's understanding. But this really charts a path for us, but also validates that we've not been off track as far as what we've addressed and worked on this year. And looking at the number of administrators and support staff, I thank you. This is hard work, but it's good work. And I really appreciate not only all that you bring to it, but your commitment to our boys and girls. I think, you know, and again, you know, I don't want Angela's head, you know, to get too big, but again, a yeoman's task as far as herding the group of cats that she's been pulling together and making sure that we stayed on task, stayed on time, but we didn't lose focus as far as what we were addressing as well. And that becomes so important. This doesn't happen overnight. It's not one that you can pull out at the last minute and think that you're gonna woo, I call the judges over here. It doesn't happen that way. It's really deep and committed work, so I thank everyone for that. And with that, Mr. Chair, I ask that we accept, as far as this, it's not the summer report, but the report from the review team for AdvancEd.
Thank you, Dr. Wright. Mr. Lewis, any comments?
I'd just like to put that recommendation in the form of a motion. Thank the external review team for all the hard work they did, long days. Thank you for the travel time that you spent away from your family. I know it's hard work, and we appreciate your feedback, your comments, and we thank you from our part for your contribution to our school system.
I would second that.
All right. We have a motion by Mr. Weathers and a second by Ms. Armstead to accept AdvancEd's report. Any discussion? I hear a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Let it show that it passes unanimously. Mr. Robinson, you have any comments?
It's just like, as an old coach, it was always easier to work on Monday after a win. That's the way I feel about this. You know, when you feel like you at least achieved a certain level, that, you know, toward where we need to be or where we want to be, that it's easier from this point on, just from the bottom up. But thank you for your work.
Mr. Stipe?
Yes.
Team, appreciate you all being here, what you've done, and we will take this information and we will put it to good use. Ladies and gentlemen that's sitting out there before me, you all are the ones that make it all happen. I would encourage you, and I hope that tomorrow when you get back into your building, that you will share with your people what you heard here today. Let them know that we are doing a lot of good things, and it's because of them. We as a board appreciate them more than they probably will ever know. And I appreciate the kind words that you had for our board. I will see that our colleagues and our friends over at the county commission know about this report, and we do have a good relationship with them, and that's where the water hits the wheel. We exist because of the goodness out of their heart and what they allow us to do. But once again, you administrators, please do share with your staff how much we appreciate them and what all that they do for our children here in Wilson County. And we'll take this report and we will use it to make us even better. And we're not going to sit back. We're going to continue to push forward and do the things that we need to make Wilson County, what is it, be the best and excellence in all that we do.
There you go.
So she drilled it in me for 2 days. Okay, I remember that. Anything else from anybody? Before we go, and while we got you all in here together, one thing I want to tell you, and I know that our leader, or your leader, hasn't shared probably this information with you all, but Dr. Wright, tomorrow night at the University of Tennessee at Knoxville, will be inducted into the Hall of Honor for educators. That's a very prestigious honor, and we're awfully proud to have Dr. Wright leading and steering our ship. And I think that this just further shows you what kind of person she is to be recognized by that great institution and what they do up there. And Ms. Hips will be getting out more information on that and have some information that comes out of that meeting tomorrow night. But Dr. Wright, we wish you safe travels back to Knoxville tomorrow night. We'll see you, Mr. Ward. And we're all so proud of you.
So much for a secret.
Hey, I can't keep a secret when it's a good secret. Anything else, anybody? This meeting's adjourned. Thank you for being here.